I got more than 4 hours of sleep last night. I don't know what you're talking about. 4.5 is more than 4. Yep, and I didn't do any prep for this in terms of a meme. So let's see, we've got...
So this is the Book of Endless Pages. It's all blank. You're welcome.
Thank you. Yes, that was good. And like, I remember hearing that as like a story. Of, I don't know how true it is, but that was the working title for Words of Radiance.
The Book of Endless Pages.
Yes, and Brando's publisher had to talk him out of, you've got a 1,000-page fantasy book that you want to call the Book of Endless Pages. Are you out of your freaking mind? So,
Good thing for editors
yeah.
and publishers.
Yeah.
And collaboration.
Yeah. So, hello and welcome to Cosmere Casual, your casual reader's guide for Brandon Sanderson's Cosmere. I'm your co-host, the long-winded Nick Gorman.
And I'm your short and sweet co-host, AJ Gorman.
You are short and sweet.
Unfortunately, that is accurate in a number of different ways.
Yeah, anyway. Yeah. So what are we talking about today, dear?
Yeah, I have 9 pages of notes.
Jesus Christ. Or, by the Forgotten Gods. No, that's not in this.
What?
There's something about Forgotten Gods. No, never mind. Aiden Alzian will remember our plight eventually.
Yep.
Storms, man.
There you go. Now we're getting in world.
Well, isn't this our, are we working on Cosmere Connections?
So, yeah, we're just getting into a little bit deeper into some kind of characters and groups and everything. And a lot of times when we talk about these characters and groups, we do get into a lot of kind of Cosmere level stuff.
Gotcha.
So it's a little, as typical, it's a little hard to separate and divide some lines, both kind of within Stormlight and within the Cosmere.
Yeah, so we're going to be focusing on where our characters are as of the end of Words of Radiance, but there will be spoilers for the rest of Stormlight Archive, as well as probably some Mistborn Era 2 stuff in there.
Yeah. So
yeah.
let's start. I want to start with Yasna. So Yasna was, or Yasna, or whatever.
Yasna.
Whatever you want to say. Spelled with a J, not a Y. She was our viewpoint character for the prologue. I can't remember if we've already talked about this in an episode, but reading the prologue this time, it really hit me that Yasna's viewpoint is very devoid of emotion. Like if you look word for word, like there's not a whole lot of concrete evidence for how she's feeling. Like a lot of it is kind of what you as the reader infer. And I was catching myself, I'm like, that's what I think that she's feeling, but there's not really any evidence that she is actually feeling that way. All the emotion that I was attributing to this chapter is like made up.
Interesting. Yeah, because and I know we see Yasna explored a little bit more in later books.
Right.
But you're right, like, she is generally presented as, cold and unfeeling. And she's like, she's asexual, right?
Right.
And I'm not sure if that's just an outgrowth of her. She is a robot. She has depersonalized in response to some sort of trauma.
I mean, she's not completely devout because, particularly in this prologue, we do have evidence that she is very deeply involved with her family and, wanting to protect them and look out for them in the best way that she knows how. But we don't necessarily get a sense for individual members of those family, particularly when it comes to Gavilar, her father. We do see her berating herself for not checking that Gavilar was still in the feast room when she left. And we do see Gavilar berating her, and we know that, Yasna has a response to that. But, I don't know, it's all weird. I don't understand their relationship.
Yeah, they've got an interesting family dynamic, right? And it's weird because, and her reaction to his death was, she was heartbroken, right?
Yes, but people are complicated.
Yeah, people are complicated.
Relationships are complicated.
Yeah, and I don't know. I
don't know. There was it seemed like there was fondness between them, but then she accuses him of hiding things,
which he was,
and asking what he's doing, and he doesn't tell her
because of course not.
There's no trust there, and I think she made a comment that she hardly knows him.
Yeah, which
So spoiler for the end of Stormlight.
Well, Wind and Truth.
Wind and Truth. Are the changes that we see in Gavilar, or the ones that other people are noticing, is that to do with a forming bond with the Stormfather, or with the opportunity that the Stormfather presents?
See, I guess I interpreted
reveals as Gavilar's true nature.
I thought it was a little bit of more of the latter, where, like, because we get some of his internal monologue in the prologue for Wind and Truth, and he's talking about like how he would like to let people in, just like the old days, but he can't. He
wants to protect himself emotionally because he's like, well, I'm going to live forever, and none of these people will.
Right. So I think he's always been a warlord, right? And there's a certain amount of egoism and putting yourself first that, I don't know, but I guess I inferred that, there's some of that in there. And now he's just moved the boundaries on us versus them, Mm-hmm. People who used to be us are now
them.
And unfortunately that includes his kids and his wife.
Yes.
That's Wind and Truth.
But I get the sense that Gavilar is also a kind of a them for Yasna, because she hides the meeting with an assassin from Gavilar. And I don't know, from the sense that I get, but maybe this is me just making up emotions, it's not just the fact that she thinks he'll disapprove.
See, I guess I read
I don't get. He's a warlord. I don't know why he would disapprove. Maybe just because it's out of his control.
Yes, I was about to say, is like, I think there's a certain amount of it that's like she wants to take point on protecting her family because she doesn't really trust anybody else to be as effective as her, and she doesn't want the interference. And
that brings up my next point of, Navani makes a passing comment, I believe, in this book that Yasna thinks that she's the one who caused her father's death. Do you think there's a more concrete reason other than that she didn't foresee that danger and didn't stop it?
No, I think she's a perfectionist, and so something didn't go according to her plan, so she wants to...
So she didn't plan well enough, so she failed.
Yes. Not that I've talked about that with my therapists ever.
Yeah. The biggest question surrounding Yasna...
Life, the universe, and everything. 42.
Is that she had some kind of trauma, something that weakened her spirit web as a child.
Yeah.
Well, but I mean, that's the Cosmere term, is that you have a weakened spirit web.
She fractured. There's cracks in it.
Okay. A fractured spirit web that enabled her to actually bond to Spren, and we do know that there's something that occurred in her childhood, because she was... there seems to be references that Yasna was seeing Shadesmar as a child. But we don't know what that trauma was.
And there was some sort of like isolation that came out of it, right? Where it almost sounded like she got sent to a sanitarium for a while.
Yeah.
I don't remember if that was in this book or in the next one.
I don't know, but there's just a lot of mystery surrounding Yasna, and I'm freaking tired of it. Give me more information.
Well, I think she's going to be a point of view character in the back half of the series, right?
I don't actually know, but I hope so. I just keep saying it to will it to be true. I'm sure Brando has actually said for certain, but there's a lot of information out there.
I found it on the Reddit, which I don't know how reliable this is.
So what exactly did Reddit say?
Fuck it. The last 5 flashback books will be Lift, Renarin, Ashtal, and Yasna.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great.
I don't know how reliable that is.
So Yasna is going to be the last one?
I don't know if it'll be in that order. I don't know if that'll be in that order.
It probably will be.
Well, and we learned a lot about characters that haven't been point of view characters. He's
going to save it all for the last book, I tell you.
Yeah.
I'm telling you that right now.
No.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Let's move on to Adolin.
My favorite himbo.
Yes, himbo. First off, he talks to his sword.
Yeah.
I really wish that we got to see, or like firsthand, or whatever, in memory, whatever, when he won Maya, his sword.
So I guess we already did the spoilers at the top.
Yeah.
We don't know his sword's real name yet. But yes, Maya.
I would have liked, I want a flashback scene where we see him winning Maya. Because I bet that was an epic day. And I bet that was like a really good bonding moment.
Was that a pun? Because he bonded the blade?
I mean, I kind of meant it literally, but yeah.
It worked. Yeah. Anyway, yes.
And it sounded like Adolin was a real underdog.
Yeah.
So probably not as good of a story as the duel. But
everyone's favorite duel.
Not everything can live up to that.
No, if it were 100% all hype, then you'd just, there wouldn't be any build-up. No suspense.
Yeah, but I do want to talk about Maya because there is a lot of foreshadowing for his relationship with Maya in this book.
There's the talking to the sword. That's the most obvious one.
There's a lot of talking to the sword. There's a lot of kind of Adolin's philosophy mixed in here. So at one point he says he didn't own it, referencing the sword. He was borrowing it for a time. So we can already kind of, on the rereads, we can kind of see that Adolin is not just kind of adapting his views because of new information. He has always held these views that the sword is sacred, that the sword is not just a tool, that there is...
He's always personified his sword.
Correct.
Even before it had a human shape, right? Spren
Correct.
shape, whatever. Humanoid.
Now here's another quote. You couldn't use a weapon like this, a weapon that seemed like an extension of the soul itself, and not feel at times that it was alive.
Even though it's dead.
So even though it's dead, but it's not all the way dead.
It's only most.
But he can definitely kind of sense that.
Yeah. Well, and I'm trying to think, because the being able to throw the shard blade like he can is a difficult skill, right? Mm-hmm. And I don't think we see other people doing that in this book, right? But we see it in later books, people trying and failing, right? He's very good with his... He is really connected with his sword.
He is. And not just his sword. Here's another quote, one that I completely passed up on my other reads, but picked out this reread. He found himself completely unharmed. He looked down at the armor, which was vibrating softly, a hum that rattled his skin in a strangely comforting way. His helm, which as always was partially translucent from the inside, darkened in a jagged streak, perfectly overlaying the lightning.
Oh, so this is when they're fighting the storm forms.
Yes, at the end.
See, I thought that was sort of I didn't think that was his plate being different. I thought that was, or him being especially...
Maybe the kind of the overlaying the lightning might just be kind of a standard service that the suit offers. But I think the vibrating and softly humming in a strangely comforting way, okay. I think that is more indicative of Adolin's bond, not only to the sword but to the suit. And as we find out in later books, the sword is a higher spren, and the suit is made up of a bunch of not dumb but
non-sapient
spren.
Yeah. Well, but then again, they're not sapient, but they are, I don't know. Because, they still clearly have feelings about him, right?
Right.
Yeah.
But, he takes care of his sword and his suit, and he has
that he poops in. Maybe they're into that. I don't know. Anyway.
But I do want to point out it's not just the sword, it's also the suit.
Yes.
Because that was definitely lost on me, the plate. Yes.
All right, I've got a very affectionate dog under the table.
And there are lots of hints. There's one hint in this book and lots in later books that there might be a way that Adolin could heal. That through his connection with Maya, might be able to heal Maya. So in this book, Pattern says, "And we do not unbreak without aid."
I didn't think that was about Adolin, but you're right.
Not about Adolin.
It wasn't not about Adolin.
There is kind of a sign in this book or a clue as to the type of spren that Adolin has bonded in Maya. Adolin's vein manifests as little vines sprouting in the area as white fog before snapping into the form of a shard blade.
So she's a cultivation spren.
She's a cultivation.
Just like Wendell, the little void bringer.
With all of his vines. The other thing that I want to mention about Adolin is that at the end of the book, he figures out a way to kind of kill some of the void bringers, and he has a really big moment where he says they can die. And it's really hard to read that on a reread.
Why?
Because they don't.
Well, they do.
They do, and then they come back.
No, not these guys. The fused come back.
Still.
But they still, but they're still taking more listeners with them, so it's not good. Yeah, it's not good for the listeners.
Yeah. So it's not really the same death as what they think it is.
Like I said, they're not fused yet. They're not fused here. When
we've discussed that in a previous episode where I think some of them are.
I still don't think so.
Because some of them are comfortable walking around in the new forms.
I know, but it's still...
I wonder if someone's asked a word Brandon on that. Okay. Since we are talking about the listeners, Gaz had a moment where he was describing why all of the deserters left.
Yeah.
He said, we were dying, bleeding, and suffering so they could get rich. That was all. So we left. We left them and their war behind. And it strikes me that that is very similar to why the listeners left the singers. Because the singers were dying, bleeding, suffering.
But it wasn't about wealth.
It wasn't about wealth, but it was so that the fused could stay in power. Okay. So they left. They left them. Other people. They left them behind, and then they left the war behind.
You know what? You're right. We need to rise up, fight off the rulers, unshackle our chains, class consciousness, eat the rich.
I was just pointing out that history repeats itself.
Yeah, it doesn't always echo, but it rhymes.
Okay, all right. Navani.
I
have a quote here. The more she understood the secrets of technology and the power of Spren, for some reason I have licked.
What?
In the light within gemstones, the closer she grew to finding what she sought. I don't know what she sought.
I mean, generally, I thought it was...
safety for her family? Confidence for herself?
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was kind of self-esteem and a world-changing discovery.
I don't think she thinks about her confidence like that.
No.
I think that if she were to pick a goal, that wouldn't be it.
Yeah. You're right. I'm thinking about it. I'm not sure what she's, at least in the context of Fabrials. I mean, I know by this point in the book we talked about how she was trying to recreate shard blades and shard plate. So I think I was just assuming it was a reference to that. But
she has much more grander ideas for her technology. She doesn't want to just use them for war. She will, but that's not. I don't think that's where her heart lies for technology.
It's not grand. Like, yes, it's grander than war. It's conquest.
But she doesn't.
A lefty domination.
She doesn't think that way.
They're a lefty. They all think that way.
Anyways, the other thing that Navani is another character that I want to learn more about. But she is kind of, it breaks my heart the more I learn about Navani. The confidence issue when there really shouldn't be, and then knowing that her kind of deepest fear is to have everything being taken from her again. And we know it's true. We know that things get taken from her over and over and over again.
I know.
So I almost do I want more of this heartbreaking story to continue for Navani in Arc 2? I don't know. I don't know if I can take it.
Well, I don't want her to be dead.
No, I don't want her to be dead. I don't want her to be dead, but it's just like, I can't take that heartbreak anymore for another arc.
She's had enough.
Yeah, I've had enough for her. Okay. Vatha. Speaking of characters that do not get enough screen time. So, Vatha, if you will recall, was the leader of the band of bandits? Band of bandits.
The brigand.
That was going to take over Shallan's little caravan.
Take over.
Murder.
Murder, rape, kill.
One of those things.
Plunder. Yeah.
So, he was the leader of that little gang. Shallan convinced all of his men to go and help instead. Vatha very reluctantly went along because he had no choice.
He was the last one. The last holdout, right?
Right. But Vatha is going to end up being it continues to be an important sideline character. Vatha really kind of becomes Shallan's second.
He's a lieutenant.
He's a lieutenant.
Yeah.
And he showed very early kind of skills kind of with illusions and stuff, even in this book.
In this book too?
A shape split from the darkness, moving in beside her. Vatha didn't look any less intimidating in the better light here. So this is kind of foreshadowing that he's very good in blending in and working with
But
light.
that's not. He wasn't doing any light weaving.
I
it's
think-
not like with Shallan where she's subconsciously making herself look more regal.
No, he doesn't have any powers, but being able to kind of work with your environment, with your surroundings,
Yeah.
you need to have that basic understanding in order to kind of manipulate things the way you need them to be. Vatha very clearly has that.
This is true.
Okay, Ghostbloods.
The Ghostbloods. So as far as we know of them in Words of Radiance, right? They are a secret society. They have some kind of beef with Yasna. She's killed members of the Ghostbloods. They've tried to kill her, apparently successfully for most of this book. We don't know that Thydakar is their leader by this point, but
AKA Kelsier.
well, yeah, but certainly by Rhythm of War, I think we've got those points connected that Thydakar, who is mentioned by Gavilar before he dies, is Kelsier, is the leader of the Ghostbloods. So the Ghostbloods are a Scadrian organization, right?
But filled out with individuals from many, many different planets.
Yeah. And if you're coming into Stormlight after having already read Mistborn Era 2, you probably have a different introduction to the Ghostbloods because they play a big role in the Lost Metal as protagonists, as good guys, right?
Yes.
So it's interesting. Their motives overall are a little bit vague.
Yeah.
Allegedly, they're looking out for the good of Scadrial, but what that means is subject to interpretation.
Yeah. But they are a very powerful organization.
They're like the CIA, right?
Yeah. So the Ghostbloods are trying to murder Amaran post finding Urithiru. There was, remember that assassination attempt where there was kind of a blow dart?
Yeah.
And what's his name?
Tom?
Tom was able to kind of pick those two darts out of the air.
Yeah.
I'm just wondering if they're like the Ghostbloods were kind of like looking towards the future and thinking that Amaran was going to be a problem and that's why they were trying to take Amaran out, or do you think they were trying to take Talm out? Because I read it as they were trying to take Amaran out.
I guess I read it a couple of different ways, right? And part of it is like they have so much freedom in how they do things. They have so much autonomy in how they do their day-to-day stuff. To me, I mean, they clearly wanted access to the heralds, right? We see that come up in later books that they really, really, really want to know what's going on with the heralds.
And I guess if they just killed Amaran, then they could swoop it and grab Talm.
Exactly. And we also know that they don't like competition, right? And so Amaran, being one of the Sons of Honor, a different secret society with aims that are not exactly contrary to the Ghostbloods, but certainly run at cross purposes at times. They see that as it's a good win to take out Amaran. Not to mention they'd get his shard blade, which is a useful. They would love to have that kind of tool, right? Yeah. So I mean, in my mind, it's like, well, they could have been targeting Amaran, but I almost look at it as like that was a secondary thing, right? He
just got it in the way, not that they were.
Yeah.
Okay. Most of our interactions with the Ghostbloods is through the individual Marays.
Yep, and his Babsk.
Yeah.
Is not Rosharan.
Southern Scadrian.
Yes, I want to say there was a word of Brandon, though, saying that she wasn't literally born on Scadrial, though. She's born somewhere in the cognitive realm. But...
Well, that's hearsay. That's in none of the published books.
Yeah, exactly. Right, but basically, so she's from Scadrial, but not the same part of Scadrial as our Mistborn heroes. I'm blanking on her name.
Except for maybe one. I really like the Southern Scadrian that...
Marays. I'm just going to look up Marays, because it'll be under his,
Anyways, so Marays, he's a very charming figure. A lot of charisma.
Yeah, I was about to say, very charismatic.
He does like to learn how to kill people.
Yaddle. There we go.
Yeah. He does like to learn how to kill people in the local way. That's how he likes to understand a culture.
I mean...
Which is not wrong.
He's not doing cultural appropriation. He's culturally appreciating,
Yeah. Shallan said that Marays reminded her of Hoyd. Probably I'm guessing that's because they're probably both ancient or very old. I think there is some indication that I think probably Murray's probably said at one point, like, I'm older, way older than you think, or something.
I don't know. And but it's also hard to tell his age, I'm assuming, because of his massive amount of scars that he has, right?
Mm-hmm.
And those could be signs that he's been around for a long time and been in a lot of rough scrapes.
Or maybe he's a member of the Church of the Survivor.
Yeah. I mean...
And did that on purpose.
On his face? On his face?
Well...
On his face?
Well...
On his face?
Yeah. I mean, if you're going to massacrate your body, well, if you're convinced enough to do it with the rest of your body, why not your face?
I guess.
Maurice does say at one point that Amaran's life belongs to another. And I'm very confused about that. So is he referencing himself? Is he referencing Kaladin? Is he referencing Odium? I have no clue.
I got nothing. Sometimes he just seems like he says shit for the aura, you know?
Okay. The interesting, I think the most interesting scene with Murray's is kind of when we see his den and we get to see all of his little trophies.
Yeah.
We get to see some books and some ornaments. So we also get to see huge gem hearts that are uninfused. We get to see some white sand. From white sand, we get to see a couple of thick hairpins. No idea.
I'm trying to think where...
I don't know what... unless that was a reference to Nalthis and the golden god hair.
The royal locks.
The royal locks. I don't know.
I don't know. Well, because
there is a lock of golden hair, so I'm assuming that is the royal locks.
Well, or it could be something about the Iriali who also have golden hair. Right? There could also be with the thick hairpins. It's like, well, you got to think about what a Rosharan sees isn't necessarily what the thing is, right? Because I don't know if they have, like, what would a hairpin on Scadrial look like to a
stamping tools, maybe?
Yeah, something like that, or like, yeah.
From what's that planet?
Cell. With forgery.
Yeah, I'm wondering, that could be forgery tools.
Yeah, a branch of a tree with writing on it she couldn't read. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know what that is.
There's, like, you've got in your notes, a silver knife. That doesn't have to be necessarily Naz's. It could just be, a threnodite silver.
I don't know, that knife. There's something going on with that knife. It wouldn't be surprising to me if that was the same knife.
Yeah.
If casual readers, if you will remember, Nas, in Secret History, Nas gave Kelsier a silver knife, and then he lost it.
Yeah. I still don't think that's important. I don't know why.
It's going to be important. Mark my words.
Yeah.
It's going to be important. It may take 20 or 30 years.
I know
but
better
it's
than...
gonna be important.
I know better than to bet against you, but I'm just like, oh, man, I don't know. We'll take it as it comes, I guess. I don't know.
Captain Crow. All right.
Well, okay. Turns out that's the knife that was used to stab Adonalsia.
Could be.
That doesn't seem quite right to me, but then again.
We don't know enough.
Yeah.
There was an odd flower preserved in some kind of solution. I think that could be Nalthis again.
Yeah, it was one of the flowers of Edgley, the Tears of Edgley.
Yeah. Which is a shard.
Yeah, vessel. For endowment.
And then there was a chunk of pink crystal, which I'm assuming was an aether.
Yeah, rosite. What?
I'm trying to think of the planet name.
Well, aethers are more than
one planet.
Yeah, I was about to say we see them on Lumar, but
they're apparently
Lumar. Native to other planets because the only aether bound we've seen I guess we see one in the Lost Metal who's I forget what planet he's from, but it's not one we've seen a full book about.
Okay, I have some things that I'm confused about, but I'm so confused about them that they don't make any sense.
Okay, great. Maybe we can make sense of it together.
I think there's a little bit of arc foreshadowing that we're given in this book. So in this book, we are kind of told some history that Sadeas defeats Yanav in a duel kind of before Alethkar was kind of reforged together.
Sadeas defeats in a duel, yeah.
Okay.
Sorry, I'm just making fun of how hard to pronounce the names are in the series.
Yennev. Okay, I'm just gonna roll right through it. So Sadeas defeats Yennev in a duel, and then that enables Gavilar to kind of bring another kingdom into Alethkar. Adolin tries to do the very same thing to get revenge on Sadeas. But this is also kind of the original plan for the end of Arc 1. Kind of like you're trying to do this really big thing, kind of, all nations, yeah, and then boil it down to a contest of champions.
And I think we get that direction in Way of Kings, right? I mean, it's not really, they don't follow up on that until Oathbringer, but like it's there.
Right, it's there. So that's kind of the original plan. The plan that we are given for Arc 1 is that there's going to be this contest of champions. But then we got that twist where that contest of champions never really,
well,
pans out the way that you think it's going to pan out.
Which we see in this book, where they do a great fancy fantastical duel, but somebody didn't read the fine print, or they didn't really know what they were agreeing to, and so
it all falls flat.
It's not all, I mean, it still works out, right? But
yes.
It's nobody expected it to go that way.
Right. So there's kind of some parallelism happening there as well. Yeah, and maybe some arc foreshadowing.
Okay.
Just trying to get that literary high school analysis in there.
Yeah. Well, and you've got something in your notes. Sorry, I pulled that up now because I didn't do my work. I can copy off of yours, right? About pattern was, I forget what scene this was in, but I do recognize this, where pattern was vibrating in the sand and making patterns as he was
vibrating.
Yeah, and Shallan recognizes that and thinks about Capsule, and it's again.
And when Capsule brought kind of a plate in sand, and he would have like different tones that the plate would say, and then it would kind of spell out.
Yeah, it would like map out different things. Right.
A symbol for things. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's just really emphasizing the relationship of acoustics with Roshar. Right. I don't think it means anything specifically so much as just like a reminder for us, the reader, that like there's acoustics stuff.
Yeah, I don't know. I read that and I'm thinking, there's something more there that I'm just not understanding. And I think it is more than just acoustics.
Yeah, so you think pattern was
I think there's something more specific.
Kind of tone that was, because that's a real thing, right? If you put sand on a plate and, vibrate at whatever tone, like it does take the shape of the wave. Of the waveform, right?
Yeah, I think this is like a very, very gentle reminder of the Dawn cities.
Yeah, and how they all were shaped like things. Yeah.
That we don't understand. Hopefully we get that in the next arc. Because, man, that is killing me. Great shells. So Shallan has this kind of cool, really cool. So reader, if you guys have like a paper version, there are some really great illustrations that are kind of spread throughout the book. I never really looked at them reading on a Kindle. But if you are the kind of person that does actually take the effort to go look at the PDF, as an audiobook listener or a Kindle book, whatever.
I was about to say, like, we had them on audiobook, but yeah.
I didn't look at them. But if you're the kind of person that does go and look at those things, there is a cool drawing that Shallan kind of does that is studying livestock or kind of shell, whatever, great shell. What are they called? Chulls. And there's a note that says, sheltering your livestock during a storm remains the most proven method to keep your chulls from pupating. That is kind of an indication that these chulls are great shells and that they need a bond with a spren in order to change.
Maybe they're just pretty good shells. But
okay.
Yeah. Well, because I mean that's more. Yeah, I mean that it's a joke, but it's also but also a little bit seriously. We're like, to an extent, taxonomy is all made up because categories are things that aren't.
Right.
Don't just they're us trying to make sense of a natural world, right? Chulls have some things in common with great shells, but they don't fit like a Rosharan wouldn't call them great shells.
Well, right, because we're talking about a domesticated thing, like the difference between a dog and a wolf.
Yeah, or like a pig versus a wild boar.
Yeah. But this is really just to reiterate the point that creatures on this planet, in order to get to these fantastical sizes, do tend to need to bond spren in order to grow. And we see this with the chasm fiends, that they go out and to pupate, they go out
On the Shattered Plains.
on the
We
in-
say that with Chiri
in
Chiri.
storms.
Yeah.
And then when Shallan and Kaladin kill the Chasm Fiend, they see all of these spren, these sky eels or gravity spren, leave the body of the Great Shell.
Yeah.
So yeah, this point is really, or this natural phenomenon is hit home in Dawn Shard with Chiri Chiri. So I think there's a reason why he's hammering this point so hard in Arc 1. I think there must be something huge that happens in Arc 2 with this idea.
You don't think it's just world building where, he's trying to, make sense of, well, things can't exist that big with such spindly legs and get the effect that he's going for?
I think he has spent way too much time hammering home this idea.
No. Just the right amount. Don't know what you're talking about. Okay. Love the world building.
Stormseat was on the Shattered Plains, and it was an epic epoch.
Epic Kingdom.
Epic.
Yep. That's how they pronounce it in the audiobook anyway.
Epic Kingdom with an oath gate.
Yep. So I always forget, are the Epic Kingdoms the same as the Dawn Cities? Is there a one-to-one relationship?
I think so.
Like maybe all the Dawn Cities are capitals of the Epic Kingdoms or something?
Yes.
Okay.
So the Shattered Plains, they were that original. So just to point it out point blank, Stormseat was an ancient city with an oath gate. Honor and Odium had a physical spat and crushed Stormseat and shattered the plains surrounding it.
They had a confrontation, yeah.
But there was a physical...
Their power emanated from them.
There was a physical result from this, and that completely wiped out Stormseat.
Yes, and I thought kind of the whole kingdom of Natan.
Yes. So Stormseat, Natan, you can kind of equate those things in your mind. They were looking for this lost city, and that is the ruins that the listeners take up in the first two books. And even though the rest of the city was kind of flattened and everything, the Oathgate still survived. And that is the Oathgate that our heroes escaped from to Eurythero. Because for some reason, when all of the other Oathgates got locked, Stormseat people didn't. I guess nobody felt the need to go and lock Stormseat.
Yeah.
Herald Watch in the prologue.
I think we did this in a previous episode.
Did we do this in a previous? Okay.
But yeah, there's definitely Kalek and Nail. Nail's, again, the dark-skinned guy with the crescent moon birthmark. Kalek, also known as Ristares, is the shorter... is he portly? I forget. He's the nervous-looking Alethi guy. But he's not really Alethi. Yeah. And they're... They're confused. They're each going mad in their own ways.
But they're still very knowledgeable because we overhear them saying that creature, in reference to Zeth, that creature carries my lord's own blade.
Yeah.
We should have let him keep it. Or maybe I missed the word not. We should not have let him keep it. So they know about Zeth. They know that he has an honor blade, and they just kind of let it happen.
Yeah.
Which is kind of bonkers.
Yeah.
We also see Nail staring at Yasna for too long.
Yes.
So I think we are to infer that he figured out or could sense that she was a budding Radiant.
He's got some kind of weird ability to sense that isn't explained, right?
But it's also not explained that he was able to sense that, so he figured that out, but he also left Yasna alone. Maybe because she hadn't fully made the bond yet, so that justice part.
Well, and also
But there's no reason why he shouldn't have come back.
She's the princess. He also knows that as far as Alethi law is concerned, she's above the reach of most laws, right? He would never be able to catch her on anything that wouldn't just be pardoned.
But he could get her between her breaking a law and being pardoned. Pardon doesn't happen automatically.
I mean, I suppose that in theory would work, but that doesn't really seem to be how he doesn't seem to be shadowing people, waiting for them to break the law, right? That's not typically how he works.
Yeah.
Otherwise, he would have just, stuck with Lift, right? But then, again, it seems like the longer he's in a place, the harder it is for him to justify his presence, right? Because the Azish in Lift's interlude, start, hey, what? This isn't right. They start noticing that things aren't right about him, right? So whatever.
I don't know, but because we don't see that any other place that we see him operating in.
I almost
I
think
think
of
it was just a bad day for him.
Yeah. I don't know. I wonder. I mean, because by the time we get to like books 4 and 5, he's out in the open about working for Odium, so it's a little different. Yeah, I don't know.
Okay, I wanted to finish up a couple things about some epigraphs, and then we can save the rest for a little bit later. So in part 2, there's some kind of the songs of the form of the listeners. One of them tells of scholar form and beware its ambitions innate. That is foreshadowing Benley's arc in the rest of the series.
Which is funny because she never actually achieved scholar form.
True.
Yeah, but at the same time, yeah, she's got those ambitions.
There's another one. Our gods were not who shattered these planes. So this always messes with my mind on rereads. So the listeners or the singers' gods are the ancients. The souls of ancient singers.
I thought, no.
They're gods. Well, they said our gods were not who shattered these planes. So Odium and Honor shattered the planes.
Right. I thought they were talking about how night, wind, rock, or stone, or whatever weren't the spirits that shattered the planes. How it was Odium and right. It was shards of Adonalsium, not the old magic. I thought. Well, and it is ambiguous about in what context when we're talking about the listeners and their gods. When are they talking about the fused, their reincarnated dead? When are they talking, because sometimes they're the gods. Sometimes it's Odium. Sometimes it's Honor. Sometimes it's the Spren. But Honor and the Spren betrayed them, so not really anymore. Right?
Well,
and Odium, is abusive.
But the listeners decided, reaffirmed that decision. They didn't want their gods to return because that's what Gavilar said. I'm going to return your gods. And they were like, no, we don't want our gods to return. So that's why I'm interpreting the gods as the ancients.
And I guess I thought that they understood that Gavilar didn't know with any precision what the listener gods were.
No, I think they did.
No, because they kept talking about, after Gavilar's death, they keep talking about how the Chasm Fiends are the gods.
Well, I think they understood that Gavilar had a different understanding than the rest of Alethkar.
Yeah, but I still don't think, because otherwise Gavilar wouldn't have, if Gavilar understood about what the listener gods were.
Well, that's what Gavilar was working towards. He was working towards bringing back the Voidbringer so that the heralds would come back so he could become a herald so that he could live forever.
Right. Fair enough. I'm confused again. Still.
Just say yes.
No.
You're so right.
I mean, you are.
Thank you. All right, we can move on.
Okay.
We can continue this in a different episode. We'll think on it, sleep on it, reread it a couple 100 times.
Yeah, right.
It's also very confusing when people talk about Voidbringers. So chapter 30 epigraph talks about humans coming to the planet and making their home, but they're not called humans, they're called Voidbringers.
Yeah.
To the inhabitants of this planet prior to humans, they were the Voidbringers because they brought Odium to the planet.
And his Void Light.
And the Void Light and chaos and destruction and just...
Void.
Yeah. So sometimes when you read Voidbringers, it references
humans. Sometimes it's the Parshendi /listeners/singers
/fused.
And sometimes it's the Voidspren themselves.
So it's just a frickin' mess.
Yeah.
There's another very important quote. But it is not impossible to blend their surges to ours in the end. It has been promised and it can come. This is foreshadowing for the 4th book.
I mean, is it foreshadowing or is it like a theme? Because, yes, it's about, there's stuff about mixing the different lights, but it's also, the fused only have one surge, whereas the Knights Radiant get 2 surges each, right? And then there's the I don't want to say interbreeding, because that sounds too farm animal-y, but there's, interbreeding between the singers and humans, right? That's how you get the what's the Lopin's ethnicity? Herdazians with their rock hard nails and the Horn Eaters with their,
What?
Yeah, their nails aren't normal human nails.
Are you saying that way back in their lineage
Yes. There's some Parshendi.
When did we learn that fact?
I don't know. I just know it's true.
This is what frustrates me.
Yeah, well, that's why we have a podcast about it, dear.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm just going to look up Herdazian to see what the source is there.
This is also why I hate Stormlight series, because
There
it's
is
a very complicated magic system to begin with, and then you start like, oh, well, this magic system, there's actually 3 of them that are like slightly different, and then you can mix them. And so one magic system is really like 9 or more, or 12. I don't know.
They are one of several races on Roshar with Singer blood in their ancestry, though not as much as the Unkalaki. Yeah,
Huh.
and that's source on that is White Sand Volume 1 release party, so that's a word of Brandon. Yeah.
Okay.
And there are several notes about how their fingernails are reminiscent of Carapace, and those include Way of Kings and Words of Radiance references. So, yeah.
Interesting. But anyways, so for example, mixing honor and cultivation, like honors light or whatever power and cultivation, you can get tower light, and then mixing odium, then you can start mixing odium in with other lights, and it all gets very complicated. Lots of combinations, and I hate it.
Well, I mean, I hate it. Wow, okay. But
I have strong emotions about this.
Apparently.
I can't keep it all in my head.
But I was just thinking that, it's a theme, though, about the blending of, humans and listeners, and that's Renarin and Relane's whole relationship, by the end of the 5th book, right? And the blending of the lights, and Jean not enlightening different honor spren. Well, it's, yeah. Anyway,
I don't know. It hurts my head.
Yes.
Part 4 epigraphs were letters from Frost Dragon to Hoyd, and if you've read the latest release,
Isles of the Ember Dark, Frost is
what's her name's uncle.
Starling or Starlight? I always get confused. Yes.
Starling.
Yeah.
Part 5 epigraphs are notes from the diagram. One of the epigraphs, Taravangian talks about how mankind must survive, and I don't get it. Okay? I don't get that, because mankind exists on other planets.
But he doesn't... I don't think he knows necessarily about other... I mean, he does know about other planets.
He has to know about other planets.
Yeah. Because he makes references to the Traveler, right? But I mean, still, to him, just from his perspective, right, humanity is inherently... It has to be a Rosharan thing, right?
But it's fucking not. He has to know that.
He has to be concerned... Well, yeah, but if... I don't know, man. Like, to me...
Mankind will survive even if all of the Roshar dies, so I don't know. That's not really well thought out for me. Chapter 84, there is a code. The code, I did not decrypt this. This is something that I got from Coppermind. The code decrypts to hold the secret that broke the Knight's Radiance. You may need it to destroy the new orders when they return. Taravangian's alter ego is cutthroat.
I mean, yeah. Yeah. Although I gotta say, like, with those epigraphs in part 5 with the diagram stuff, and where they get to the part where it's in code, and you just hear Michael Kramer reading before each chapter.
A series of numbers.
1101.
My God, it's
so funny.
This is a long couple minutes there. But anyways, those sequences, those numbers are a sequence of dates, and those dates are the final 10 high storms preceding the arrival of the Everstorm. Why that matters, it doesn't. I don't think.
The diagram is interesting. Do we want to take some time to really talk about it? I'm not sure. That might warrant its own episode, because I like thinking about the diagram, the organization, the diagram itself, Taravangian, how Taravangian's affliction works. I like it. It's an interesting thing.
Okay, well, we got through 3.5 pages
out of 9.
Out of 9.
What the fuck?
To be continued.
To be continued. Thanks, Jer, for podcasting with me.
Thanks for podcasting with me.
And thanks, audience, for listening to us. We've been Cosmere Casual. Our email address is cosmerecasual@gmail.com. Our social media handle is Cosmere Casual. Our intro and outro music is licensed through Tribe of Noise. The artist is Ketsa, and the song is Odyssey.
And until next time, keep your wits about you.